Gusto niyo bang malaman kung paano kami nakikipag-collab sa mga brands in the MT Show podcast? We use Podmetrics, the easiest way to monetize your podcast. If meron kang podcast, sign up now at podmetrics.co and use my code DMTGShowPod to get full control on how you monetize your show regarding of its size. Again, sign up now at podmetrics.co and use my code DMTGShowPod. If you're an advertiser who wants to collab with us, head on over to advertiser.podmetrics.co and fill up the form. Again, Podmetrics, the easiest way to monetize your podcast.
Hype Network presents.
Welcome to your unfiltered Tagalog Wrestling Podcast. This is the MTG Show Podcast.
Hey folks, my name is Rajiv Doreswamy and I'm the host of The Rajiv Show. Check out The Rajiv Show at The Rajiv Show both on Facebook and Instagram, and new episodes will be released every Wednesdays. Cheers folks, and stay safe.
Hey everyone! We are the 3am Avenue podcast series, ang hashtag tropang madaming ebas.
Here to have genuine conversations about life, love, career, and many more.
Don't forget to search for us on Spotify. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at 3am Podcast Series to hear more about our Tropas Kwentuhans, adventures, and journey towards reaching our goals. See you, mga katropa!
FC
Hey, pal!
Welcome to your unfiltered Tagalog Wrestling Podcast, and this is the MTG Show Podcast, a wrestling podcast. Ayan. So, for this week's podcast, hindi ko sasabihin na ikli na naman tong show. No, different na to kumpara last week. Last week, kinakapa ko pa. This week, different na. So, before we start the episode, gusto ko lang magbigay muna ng simpleng medical update. Hindi naman sobrang medical update. Not really a medical update. I think last Friday or Saturday, dito sa tinutuloyan ko, pagkatapos nung araw ng recording, nag-messed up ako. And because of that, nawasak yung monoblock namin sa bahay. And then, fortunately, yung likod ko nagalusan ako. Parang I need to recover. Na galing lang yung nana ako sa likod. Wala naman akong bali. Hindi ako nabalian. But, kailangan ko mag-recover para akong kubang matanda na naglalakad right now. But sabihin ko sa inyo, I'm okay, I'm fine. Okay lang ako. Hindi ako pilay. Hindi ako pilay. And sa mga nag-send sa akin ng prayers and greetings din. Get well. Thank you. Sana kumaling ako next week kasi hindi ko kaya maglakad ng ganun yung likod ko. Parang feeling ko every time na gagalaw ako, nagagalaw ko yung likod ko. Sobrang sakit. Sana lang. Kumaling na. Trust. Diyan na bahala. So, for this week's podcast, we have to focus on several things. So, Sunday, yung Resurgence, Pay-Per-View, New Japan, Triple Mania, AAA, tomorrow, yung Rampage, and then yung mga basic natin, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, yung Dynamite, tsaka yung Rampage. I want to give my thoughts on tits and balls. Hindi, kasi, diba, nabalita din na suspend daw si Max Caster ng The Acclaimed kasi dun sa isang rap na minention yung isang may sakit yata yun, I'm not sure. Pero, sige, let's start. Also, pag-uusapan din natin yung mga na-release from their contracts sa NXT, especially NXT. And yung plano na new direction sa NXT. Gusto kong malaman yun. And we want to know kung what's next. And so, before we start the podcast, I want to say congratulations kay Johnny Gargano at kay Candice LeRae for finally they having a baby. Buntis si Candice. So, Candice, see you in 2021. Good thing na drop na pala yung belts. So, at least may sense na. And may sense na rin si Indy Hartwell papuntang main roster or yung storyline niya sa Index. May sense na. Si Johnny, wala pa ako nakikita ang story. To be honest, di ko alam yung story ni Johnny right now. So, let's start with the released talents from August 6. So, marami na release sa talents. So, it includes former champions, Bronson Reed, Bobby Fish, Ian Ruff, and so many more. Marami na release. Si Tyler Rust, Jake Atlas, Mercedes Martinez, si Kona Reeves, and many more. Marami na release from their contracts sa NXT. Especially in NXT. And ang isa lang na masasabi ko, sobrang nakakalungkot. And ang nakakalungkot pa is si Vince McMahon ang may hawak nito. Tsaka si Nick Khan plus si John Ace, John Laurinaitis. Sobrang nakakalungkot itong release sa mania na ito. Hindi siya ginusto ng NXT. Hindi rin siya ginusto ni Triple H and ni Shawn Michaels. Choice to ni McMahon. Kasi meron silang new direction towards NXT. Yung plan nila sa NXT matindi. Parang ibabalik nila yung old NXT. Since talo na sila sa AEW, Dynamite. And then, na-move nila na Tuesday, medyo nag-flop. Then, kaya, yung parang move na lang nila right now is ito nga, yung tinatawag nilang old era ng NXT, which is doon naman talaga nag-umpisa. And ang priority ng NXT na yun, if ever, is young talents. Wait, na-realize ko din na puro young talents pala tinatanggal sa NXT. Which is medyo nakakalungkot para sa akin. Sobrang lungkot ko. Especially Bronson Reed, sila Leon Ruff, Bobby Fish, although na wala naman siyang story, but still sobrang nalungkot ako na malabo na mangyari yung Undisputed Era reunion. Sobrang ewan ko, Mercedes Martinez, they wasted her clearly. Sayang. And then so yun lang ang ating story about the released talents. So let's talk about the subject. SmackDown. So, nag-release sila ng talents during SmackDown. Habang SmackDown. As in, habang SmackDown. So, we're going to talk about smaller parts of the SmackDown. So, Ito nga. So, nag-open yung show. And then, ayun nga, lumabas si Sasha. And then, blah, blah, blah. Parang nag-heel turn na ulit siya. And then, nag-challenge si Belair kay Sasha. And then, in-accept niya yun. And then, lumabas si Selena Vega. And then, parang nag-back and forth na sila. And, sinabi naman ni Bianca na ita-defend ni Bianca yung bout versus Sasha. And then, on that night, ita-defend yun against Selena Vega. Sobrang ganda lang ng off, in my opinion. Sobrang, at least, naggamit nila si Selena Vega. At the same time, nabibuild nila yung story. Diba? Makes sense. Diba? Makes sense to me. Kaya lang, medyo feel bad for Selena. Wala pa siyang panalo ever since na mag-return siya sa WWE. So, I feel bad for Selena. At the same time, kay Bianca naman, I feel ko, mapupush pa siya dun sa tingin ko, limit niya for being a superstar. Hindi yung kung ano lang yung nakita nyo before kay Bianca, which is medyo lame, no? At least, nakikita natin kung ano pa yung kayang ibuga ni Bianca, di ba? And then, move on tayo. We're going to talk about one of the most important segments of this week. So, we got the Edge. Rollins, nag-set na sila ng match. Na-confirm na tong match for SummerSlam. And then, we got the Selena Vega and Bianca Belair. Not bad. Bianca Belair won to build momentum, which is makes sense. And yung nakita natin dito is Bianca. Parang tinrato niya si Vega as a legitimate challenger. So, para sa akin, makes sense. And then, yun ang nakikita natin. And then, we get the main event, Finn Balor versus Baron Corbin. Say it before, I say it again. Baron Corbin is the best gimmick or realistic story right now in the WWE. Period. Wala na makakabago dun. Sobrang solid kasi, puta. Di pa natin alam kung ito ba ay magli-lead talaga sa heel turn ni Corbin. Hindi rin natin alam kung ano ba yung magiging direction. Si Finn Balor on the other hand, tingin ko may direction na siya. Kinall out niya si Cena. And then, kinall out niya si Roman. Lumabas din si Roman. And then, ayan. So, syempre, typical beating. But, at least, para sa akin, nakapag-build sila ng two stories at the same time. Actually, 3 pa nga si Finn Balor pa. So, Finn Balor versus Cena, Roman versus Cena, and Corbin's story. So, tatlo agad yun nagalaw nila dito. Which is fine para sa akin. It's fine for me. Wala akong problema whatsoever. I love it. And at least, nakikita natin, number 1, yung kay Corbin. Sobrang entertaining ng kanyang sablay na story ito. Parang willing siya Sobrang refreshing. Number 2, yung kay Balor. Sobrang dominant niya. And I love it. And then Roman Reigns, typically every week, pinupuri ko siya dito sa show. And pupurihin ko ulit siya ngayon. Corbin, no doubt, best gimmick. And then, we got a Monday Night Raw. So, sabi nga natin, 2 weeks na lang bago mag-SummerSlam. So, we're going to talk about small talks on this one. So we got Drew McIntyre versus Baron Corbin. Yes, free agent si Corbin. We know. So, let's start. So, ayun, nagkaroon ng match, nag-open si Drew. And then, ayun, sobrang, hindi naman sasabihin na sobrang angas. We're going to talk about Corbin instead. Yung role dito ni Corbin, nagtutuloy-tuloy siya. Sobrang smooth para sa akin. Sobrang consistent ng story na yan. Nagtuloy-tuloy siya dito sa Raw. Regardless of the story between Jinder and Drew, sa tingin ko, itong story ni Corbin, tuloy-tuloy siya. And it's gonna make sense para sa akin. Hindi siya hindi ito yung tipo na story. Sa tingin ko, mapuputol lang agad. Kasi continuous eh. At saka na-acknowledge siya sa dalawang brands. So, it's good para sa akin. And then, ang sigurado ko dito, if yung kay Corbin na gagawin niyan lahat, ito talaga yung maglilid sa isang face turn. And kahit pa paano, nagpo-progress din yung goal niya na maawa yung tao sa kanya, which is sa akin nagpo-progress. And yun ang progress ng kanyang face turn eh. Kahit sabihin natin na sobrang angas ng heel turn niya, sobrang angas ng real heel run niya, maiisip mo din, maawa ka din kay Corbin. Ganun yun eh. Mas may feel ka din na feel sorry for him. But, ito nga yung nangkupal sa WWE for the past 2, 3, 4 years. And, tapos, I feel sorry for him. Just like that, ganun. Still, on that thing, sobrang effective. Sobrang smooth. And then we got another Karen Cross bullshit. And yung, ayan nga, Karen Cross. I'm not going to say bullshit though kay Cross kasi it's fine for me na pinaput over si Cross. Ang problema kasi is siyempre nasiraan din si Cross sa main roster. Tutuloy-tuloy na yan. Yan na yan. Yan talaga ang sikreto. Sa tingin ko, tuloy-tuloy na yan. But itong match na to versus Jeff Hardy, malaking improvement to whatsoever. And then we got ano pa ba? Ito yung kay Randy Orton. Nga pala, munti ko na makalimutan. Randy Orton returned after almost a month of break. And gusto ko sabihin din na itong story na to ni Randy tsaka ni Matt Riddle is one of the most entertaining storylines, not only in WWE but in wrestling in general. I love it. Sobrang ganda. Hindi sa ayaw ko sabihin na I hate the story, but yung build ng story, it make sense. Sobrang smooth nun. And then, itong kay Orton naman tsaka kay Riddle, yung progress ng storyline sa tingin ko, maganda yung progress niya. Nagagamit din si Styles tsaka si Amaas at the same time. Kasi sa tingin ko magiging champions din si Orton tsaka si Matt Riddle. And yung story, sa tingin ko, nagpo-progress. Sobrang angas ng progress. And huwag tayo magulat if magiging champion din later on si Orton at saka si Riddle. Is pretty good para sa akin. Ayun. So, we're done on those main shows. So, let's talk about NXT real quick. So, NXT this week it's kind of bad for me. So, ayan, tuloy natin. So, we got Dakota Kai versus Ray. Originally, dapat talaga si Ember Moon. So, it's gonna make sense. Parang binibuild pa din nila yung feud ni Dakota Kai tsaka ni Raquel Gonzalez. And then, ito, basta sabihin ko, itong match na to, fantastic. Plus, yung pagkatapos, yung kay Raquel, god damn. Sobrang solid nun para sa akin. And because of that, simpleng bagay na yun, I love Raquel so much. Yan, simpleng gesture lang yun Napamahal ako kay Raquel bigla. And then, so, ayun nga, pagkatapos ng match, nag-promo si Raquel and she warned Dakota Kai already. And yung match, by the way, ni Saray tsaka ni Dakota Kai, sobrang sobrang ganda ng chemistry nila. Tapos, na dapat talaga ma-explore din to in the future para sa akin. Yung match na to, I hope na habang tumatagal yung build-up, kailangan mag-speak talaga si Raquel. Kasi puro si Dakota lang yung naririnig natin. Diba? And then, next, we got Ilya Dragunov for NXT. Ayan, so, binibuild na din nila yung takeover match between Ilya and Walter. And then, yun, nag-promo nga siya. It's kinda okay. Okay, but feeling ko itong pagdala nila dito sa US, na NXT US, na tong story na to, 50-50 to sa akin. Not because na storyline siya sa NXT UK. 50-50 siya because feeling ko itong simpleng storyline na to na overshadow nga na agad yung ibang stories ng NXT na I wish hindi dapat mangyari. Ang nagmamatter lang sa akin is ang number 1 dito is clearly Ilya Dragunov. I love the match though between Dan and Ilya, but it doesn't matter. Ilya Dragunov is the man right now. And then we got another bullshit by LA Knight and yung kay Andre Chase. I love his performance on this week's NXT. Sobrang ganda. And then yung story nila LA Knight and Cameron Grimes, medyo ito yung story na sinasabi ko na din last time na kailangan na nilang tapusin. Ito yung sa mga stories na kailangan nilang tapusin as soon as possible kasi nakakasawa. No? And then, yung pag-build din nila na tong match between LA Knight and Cameron Grimes, it's kinda predictable, but as expected, okay, it's fine. And then, ito nga, we got the final match between Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole. So it's gonna be a 3 stages of hell, but na-refer nila to as 2 out of 3 falls. So Kyle choose a straight up wrestling match. Cole, street fight. And then the third fall will be a steel cage. Bago yun Seriously, bago yun, ah. To be honest, sa'kin, it's fine. Sobrang okey lang sa'kin. Pero ang alam ko lang na pagkakamali nila, bakit ngayon pa? Daming stories ngayon ng NXT and ito yung isa sa mga pinakamalaki. Tapos isasapaw mo lang 'to dun sa Joe versus Cross na which is, supposed to be the biggest story. Pero feeling ko ang nagiging biggest story right now is itong Cole versus O'Reilly, 'di ba? And itong because of this fucking 3 stages of bullshit, itong simpleng segments nila Joe, at saka ni Cross, parang nade-degrade na siya sa'kin. Ewan ko kung ba't ganun yung nafe-feel ko. Kasi tingin ko aside dun sa talo nga ni ni Cross kay Jeff Hardy, medyo feeling ko nade-degrade na siya. Nade-degrade na si Karn Cross every single week, which is nakakatawa para sa'kin. And then, ito yung gusto kong sabihin, speaking of Adam Cole. Ang plano kasi ngayon is ang plano kasi is Adam Cole after nito ay posible ng mag-main roster. Kasi nga nakipag-usap siya last week with Vince McMahon and inofferan siya ng contract for a main roster contract. It means pupunta na siya ng NXT. So kung inaccept man ni Adam Cole yung contract na yun, it means possible ito na yung last niya. And then balik tayo doon sa NXT na itong match. Sa tingin ko kaya talaga to. Tingin ko regardless on who the fuck will build this match, I think Kyle O'Reilly will win this regardless. And pero balik tayo, medyo nainsulto kasi ako sa ilang tweets na pangit daw yung Gargano versus Ciampa. Dahil dito, na-refer din to. Fuck you. Yun lang masasabi ko. Fuck you. Sobrang ganda kasi nun eh. Kaya lang, ang timing kasi na tong story na to. It's kinda, parang pangit. Pangit yung timing. Kaya nasasabing pangit. No? Pero balik tayo. So, Pete Dunne versus Ilya Dragunov. Para sa akin, ito yung isa sa mga easy picks ko. Isa sa mga pinakamadaling picks ko for match of the week. I swear to God, one of the best endings ng NXT. Very good ending. Sobrang weak kasi ng NXT na to. Regardless, smooth. I love it. So, pero, was a shame para sa akin na matalo si Dragunov. And, ito talaga yung best match para sa akin. Ayan. So, ayan. Finally, we got the AEW Dynamite plus Rampage plus whatever it's in balls, dark. Alam mo na yan? Ayan, so from now on, tatawagin ko na sa Dark 1 and 2 is Tits and Balls. Bakit Tits and Balls? It's attraction. Balls means bonus or bonus commentaries. Parang ganun. Ganun yung tingin ko. Tits and Balls. Wala eh. Parang Dynamite pa din yung pinaka-superior eh. Dagdag pa natin sa attraction, Max Caster, whatever. Ayan, so, pag-usapan na natin. So ngayong Dynamite to is, I'm not saying one of the best matches, one of the best cards. But para sa akin, sobrang fine ito. Itong Dynamite na to. Umpisahan natin sa pinakamadali. So, we got the trios match. Kenny Omega, Young Bucks, The Elite versus Dante Martin and the Seidel Bros. So, para sa akin, wala akong pakialam kay Kenny. Wala akong pakialam sa Bucks. Wala rin akong pakialam sa mga Seidels. Dante Martin stole this shit. Solid. Sobrang, swear to God, sobrang solid nito. Plus, nababas si Christian Cage. And sobrang lap trip. Natawa ako doon sa sinabi ni Don Callis na Stanford Stooge. And then, yan nga. Basta sobrang, sobrang solid din, no? And then dito na nga, in-announce na Christian will challenge Omega for the Impact title tomorrow on Rampage, the very first episode of Rampage. And then, yung Jurassic Express will challenge the Young Bucks for the tag titles on the Dynamite. Sobrang basta solid. Swear to God, ang iniisip ko pa is ito number 1. Anong sense nitong AEW championship match ng Impact sa Rampage? Anong sense na to? Number 1. Para saan to? Kung ang match na iti-take place sa All Out is for the AEW championship, ano yung sense nitong match na to sa Rampage? Na I know matatalo din si Kenny, but para saan? Anong direction nito? We know na Kenny is one of the factors of this Forbidden Door bullshit. And if Christian wins the match at Rampage, maybe ito yung maging stepping stone niya para magpunta siyang Impact. And undefeated pa rin siya. And also, hindi masisira yung momentum niya. Also kay Kenny at the same time, hindi rin masisira yung momentum niya. To protect the momentum of both talents, ang isa lang nakikita ko dito, yung Rampage match between Kenny and Christian doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make sense at all. Oo nga, but gusto ng fans. But ako, hindi ko nakikita na interesting. Kasi, I'm not going to say na I hate it. Instead, sabihin ko, walang sense whatsoever. Walang pagtutunguhan. I know, build up. Build yung story. But, you gotta change my mind. Kasi, build up na eh. May match na din for All Out eh. Para saan pa to? Attack talents na lang to. Yun lang. Yun lang ang reason why this match exists. Diba? Yun lang. Yun lang yun. Wala nang iba pa. Diba? I mean, yun yun. And then, we got the Miro versus, ayun nga, Miro versus, wait, hanap ko pa. So, a Miro match, as expected. Easy win by Miro. Wala nang comment. And then, ito, so we got Britt Baker promo. Ina-hype niya na yung show since hometown niya ni Britt. Yung venue for Friday. And parang pansin ko, fan-friendly yung promo niya. And then, typical na aspiration promo for the hometown. Siyempre, hometown advantage to it, diba? And then, ang weird niya na pagkatapos na lumabas si Red Velvet, at the girl group. Gusto ko talaga lang indicate yun. Kasi fans. Yung mga fans kasi nakako-confuse eh. Nag-viral pa nga yung isang meme na nag-viral daw yung Red Velvet tapos pinost sa mga K-pop groups. Actually, naiiyak ako. Isa rin ako sa natawa doon. Aminin ko yan. And ang gusto ko lang palabas doon, AW, baka naman, i-adjust nyo na yung pangalan ni Red Velvet. Ano? Magbabatanggin nyo ga ako din eh. O mag-i-English pa. Para lang mag-request. Ano? Di naman sa ayaw ko eh. Pero, alam nyo, si Red Velvet, nami-misinterpret yan. Ako, aminin ko, nami-misinterpret ako. Siyempre, if may kilala kang K-pop fan, unang iisipin mo, yung 5-member girl group. Hindi itong si Red Velvet na wrestler. Right? Speaking of Red Velvet, stream yung parating na EP. Na? Stream nyo yan. Queendom. Ayan. Stream nyo yan. Gusto kong i-plug yun. Dahil na kasi. Tatawa ako eh. Dahil dun sa number 1 coincidence na nga eh. Kasi may comeback ang Red Velvet. Tapos andito po si Red Velvet sa main event ng Rampage. Tapos main event pa ano. Tapos syempre, iba na yung naisip ko about that. No? And then, balik tayo kay Red Velvet, the wrestler, not the K-pop group. So tingin ko, kailangan niya pa mag-build ng momentum. Yun lang nga sa akin. Medyo kulang pa. So tingin ko na majority kasi ni Red tong feud eh. Yun lang ang problema ko. I love Britt Baker, but sa tingin ko naging one-sided tong feud. Yan ang signature ng AEW. Diba? Yan. And sana lang, kung ano yung nagawa niya before, dalhin niya din ngayon. Sobrang effective niya kasi nung March. And I wish, padala niya rin yung ngayon. No? Walang smoke, walang bullshit. And itong match na to, tingin ko win or lose, tingin ko ito yung magbo-boom para kay Britt and kay Red Velvet as well. No? And then, ito nga, so na-defend yung Impact Tag Titles. And then, tapos, ano pa ba? Okay lang. Okay lang sa akin. Hindi naman masama. Ano? But, at least nakikita natin na nag-wrote, na susulat pa yung story between Dark Order and the Elite. Means hindi pa tapos. No? Tapos, ito na. Ito yung gusto kong tirahin eh. Last tong segment na to sa Dynamite. So, we get this Cutie Marshall and the Tony Schiavone and his son bullshit story na ewan ko saan ba nag-umpisa, ewan ko saan ba nag-exist. To be honest, sayang oras dun eh. To be honest, ako, tangin na. Na-realize ko sayang din pala yung naging oras ko dun eh. No? To be honest, wala, 10 minutes, kaya. Wala na akong comment, basta ang importante ang nagustuhan ko lang talaga dito na lumabas si Paul White. Yun lang. Yun lang talaga. Ang gusto ko lang sabihin ang pinaparating lang sa akin nito is the Paul White thing versus Cutie is not appealing at all. Hindi siya pang Dynamite, hindi rin pang Rampage. Well, doon lang yan sa Tits and Balls. Well, okay. Yun lang. And then finally, we got the fourth labor of Jericho. So, Wardlow versus Jericho. A match is okay. But, ang napapansin ko lang is parang every match during the labor. But, ang napapansin ko medyo si Aubrey Edwards yung nagiging official no? May part din kaya na story yun. Ewan ko, ang weird lang Not saying it's not okay, but ang labok, no? And then, ayun nga, in-announce next week. For next week, it's gonna be MJF versus Jericho. But this time, no Judas effect, no Judas theme song. And, yan, nakakapanibago. Sa bagay, di naman talaga finisher ni Jericho yung Judas effect. Hindi niya rin team song yung Judas. I wish may plan B dun si Jericho, no? And na, para sa akin, ito yung isa sa mga performance. Ito yung isa sa mga performance niya sa 4 stages ito. And medyo ang question ko lang number 1, bakit hindi sa all out? No? Number 2, natuwa ako dahil at least mayroon isang main event. Assurable makikita natin sa TV. So okay lang sa akin. And as far as I'm concerned, I love the build up on MJF. Regardless on kung yung ginagawa niya, MJF will always be MJF. And sobrang effective na. So, basically, yun na yung wrestling review natin, no? And then, wala na tayo masyado pag-uusapan kasi wala naman akong card for Triple Mania. Wala rin akong card for Resurgence. Siguro, popost ko na lang yung cards sa social media, podcast. Doon yun na lang pagdistikahan kung ano yung gusto nyong mangyari. No? And then, ito, konting recap na lang for my last week's picks of the week. So, my last week's pick of the week was, ito yung simple lang. So, obviously, the superstar of the week, Wicked Malaki Black. Na-explain ko na yung reason. The match of the week is Jordan Devlin versus A-Kid. Ito yung first ever 30-minute Ironman match. That was impressive. And then, the woman of the week, obviously, Nikki ASH. Sobrang ganda ng laban na yun. I love it. And I think, sobrang hindi ko masasabi na pangit Pero ito yung sa tingin ko na nag-build na kay ASH as a legitimate star here in World Wrestling Entertainment. So, yeah, pretty much it for this week's podcast. Follow the podcast on all of the social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, TikTok, at the MTG Show Pod. And then listen to the podcast every Fridays on your favorite podcast platform. So Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Deezer, on the podcast app, which is available on Google Play Store and sa iba pang podcast app that you use the most. Then, please support Pipe Network on all of the social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch. Tsaka please visit the website at pipenetwork.co. Also, follow my social media platforms, Twitter at Instagram at AJ Venera. So, yan. Before we end this week's episode, so, ano pa ba? Naalala ka, tangin, ang dami ko pang inaalala eh. So, Lazada and Shopee links still available. Payday sale lang nga pala sa 15. So, please use my links tinyurl.com/Shopee or Lazada XMTJ Show. Again, it's tinyurl.com/Lazada or Shopee XMTJ Show. So, that's it for this week's episode number 63. Sumapa na to kaysa last week. Ano yung masasabi nyo? I think this is a big improvement kumpara last week. No, I love it. So, thank you very much. Stay safe. Stay reso. See you on the next podcast episode. Peace.